All right. Good evening, everyone. So, yes, holy schist. We've got quite a topic tonight that is about the schist disk. It looks like that. As this is an item that was found in the in an early mastaba grave that was part of Dynasty 1. No one knows what this thing is. One thing that Dana and I are going to do, you see right underneath, a couple shelf levels underneath Dana's sculpture of Caesar back there, is a 3D printer. So this is going to be a good motivation for us to get the filament running and get that thing built. And just like I did with the JED drill, to actually do some material testing, because there are all kinds of wacky theories out there as to what this thing was. A lot of people are saying that it was some type of turbine, except the problem is that it doesn't have angled fins. All turbines or fans have angled fins because it's like a corkscrew in the air. This thing is roughly symmetrical. When you see it side on, this is something that a lot of the skeptics point out, is that it's not entirely symmetrical. If you take a kind of glamour shot of the device, part of the problem is that the 3D models make it all even and perfect. They're not a reality capture of the device the way that it is in the Cairo Museum. It's going to come out more smooth, it's going to come out more industrial, but still, it should give us a fair approximation. I think it's going to be really fascinating to see what the general shape of this thing can do. The standard Egyptology idea is that this was an incense holder, which makes absolutely no sense. I mean, if you want to encourage people to believe that ancient stone artifacts were made by aliens, yes, start saying things like that disc is an incense holder, and you'll just make the mainstream look like utter idiots in that respect. In other respects, they're pretty good. But yeah, this makes no sense. This was found in Saqqara. It was found near the step pyramid of Djoser. And there's all kinds of things. One of the things that people have noticed quite a bit is that over the centuries, the highly developed stonework of the Old Kingdom actually declined. That they were able to make stone vessels out of diorite, all kinds of amazing things that even the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom never came close to this kind of talent. Now, what I think is going on here is that I'll make an analogy. If someone looked at our civilization, our recent civilization, and you could pick anything here. You could pick houses, you could pick buildings, you could pick churches, you could pick clothes. I'm going to focus on cars. If you looked at cars and someone would say, my God, these people there must have been a previous civilization, and these cars didn't just come out of nowhere. Guess what? Yes, there was a previous civilization. There was all kinds of wheels and engines and then cars. Okay, but imagine if the alien archaeologists had nothing but the cars. Then you would have some of them saying that, yes, of course, they just developed cars. And some of them would say, oh, there was an ancestor civilization that helped them develop cars. But people would think it's very strange. They would say, yes, you very, very quickly went from a Model A to, the Chrysler Airflow, to the 1964 Ford Mustang. And then they said, well, but look how cars declined. Look how they got so ugly. By the time you got to the 1970s, they were just disgusting and stupid, and they broke down all the time. And then in the New Kingdom of the late 1990s, Detroit revived itself, but it was never the same. This happens with human culture. We don't necessarily always. It's not necessarily mysterious that things can decline. I have no idea, except for market saturation and the ending of novelty. Apart from those two things, I'm not sure why from my perspective and many people's perspective, the quality and beauty and romance and artistry of cars has declined, but the beauty, romance, and artistry of stone vessels in Egypt declined. And I think that might have to do with the introduction of bronze. The start of the Bronze Age, if you're thinking of history in a linear fashion, this will not make sense. But if you think about it for a little bit longer, it makes a lot of sense. The start of the Bronze Age involved technological steps backwards. I will say that again. The start of the Bronze Age involved technological steps backwards. Why? Well, when you're using flint tools, you have something that is harder than steel. It's more brittle than steel, but it's harder than steel. And guess what? That's how they cut granite. Yusuf al-Arwi, I don't know how to pronounce Yusuf's last name. I'm not going to try at the moment. I think if I could read it, I would do better. Anyways, Yusuf, the guy who is the son of Hakim, and these two brilliant guys who know how to read hieroglyphs and everything. Yusuf is himself a stonemason. I've seen in videos of him giving tours in Egypt that he's rather convinced that they were using stone tools. They were not using the copper tools. They were using stone. Why? Because you can cut the granite. You can cut the granite with the stone tools, not with the stone stupid hammer balls, but with flint tools. You can do a lot of the cutting. Now, that doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain the machine cuts. We can get to that later. Both Yusuf and Ben at Uncharted X have done interesting work there. But when you have a technological shift that goes from highly developed flint to primitive bronze, steel's not around, except in something like meteoric iron, which you would never use for a tool, because it's too rare and too beautiful. You would have a loss of knowledge. And they did have a loss of knowledge on how to make these beautiful diorite bowls. There's probably a reason that they were all collected in these grave goods at Saqqara, that this was the legacy. This was the legacy of an older civilization that was based on flint. If you want to get really specific, you could call it the Flint Age. It's not just the Stone Age. It's their, I don't know, the the bifacial overshot flake age. And if you look at the Naqada, which is pre-Old Kingdom, if you look at the Naqada flint tools, they're fantastic. They're amazing. They're slightly curved, have very, very tiny flakes taken out of them. And it wouldn't be until the development of steel in the Iron Age that you even start to come close to a tool that was that good in terms of sharpness. So, we're going to see. Dana and I are going to have fun playing around with that schist disc. We're going to try to 3D print that. I got the 3D models. Stay tuned to see what we can do with that. My suspicion, there are those little whistles that you'd go, like at the beginning of the Bob Dylan song, Highway 61, one of those things. Well, those are sirens. Those are little toy sirens. And if you take one of those apart, which I did as a little boy, when you take it apart, it has a disc in it that looks very much like this. This schist disc may have been some kind of sonic device, either for generating sound, for musical purposes, for healing purposes, or for levitation purposes. And that's not as crazy as it might sound. People have been sonically levitating frogs in recent decades with modern technology. It's perfectly feasible in my mind that sound, low frequencies, could be used to agitate the surface that a big heavy stone moves on, or to make the stone vibrate so that you reduce friction and you can move it faster. It's quite possible that that's something that the Egyptians did. And it may be that if the schist disc is an acoustic device, a siren, who knows? But we're going to spin that thing, try to move some air through it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hope you enjoy it. Again, thank you for watching.